Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you this week. You can see over my shoulder our guest, Levi Lyon. Hi, Levi. And right next to me is Casper Leach. We have Malachi on for the musical guest this evening. We have a short couple hip news stories for you and a few film clips. So stay tuned as we bring on our infamous Dancing Cannabis Leaves.
I feel the force.
All right, our first story tonight is out of Tallahassee, Florida, the capital there of the state. Earlier this week, a group named the United for Care, the campaign working to place a medical marijuana constitutional amendment on the ballot in the state of Florida, was advised by the Secretary of State's office they'd collected and certified the required number of signatures for qualification. Advocates collected well over the 683,000 signatures necessary to qualify medical marijuana for the fall ballot this November. Then later in the week, the Florida Supreme Court, where the language of the ballot summary had been challenged by the state, ruled 4-3 in favor of allowing the amendment to be placed on November's ballot. This means that Florida Supreme Court decision allow the citizens of Florida the right to decide for themselves if medical marijuana is an appropriate course of conduct for their lives. So it's a tribute to the initiative and the group United for Care and the thousands of petitioners who labored all over the state of Florida to require the requisite number of petitions to get this on the ballot. 20 states have now passed laws permitting medical marijuana, and 2 have legalized cannabis for recreational use. Florida represents the first southern state to launch such an initiative, which divides the gubernatorial candidates, with the present governor, Rick Scott, opposing the initiative, and his likely opponent, Charlie Crist, saying he supports the effort. A Quinnipiac University poll conducted in November showed that 82% of Florida voters support the medical use of marijuana. In Florida, they require a supermajority. They'll have to get at least 60% to put this into Florida's constitution. Out of New York City, a majority of United States adults believe that the consumption of marijuana ought to be legal, according to the results of 2 nationwide polls released last week. A poll conducted by NBC and the Wall Street Journal found that 55% of American adults nationwide support legalizing marijuana. Nearly a quarter of the respondents said that while they do not personally agree with legalization, they would not actively seek to repeal laws approved by voters or state legislatures. The second poll, commissioned by CBS, found that 51% of respondents answered affirmatively to the question, should marijuana use be legal? That percentage is the highest ever reported by this survey, which has been tracking public opinion on this issue since 1979, when only 27% of adults favored legalization. And it marks a 6-point jump in support since the last time pollsters posed the question in April of 2013. 44% of the respondents in this poll opposed legalizing cannabis. So that's the end of our hemp news segment for this evening. We've got Malachi ready to play us some music. Welcome back to the show, Malachi.
Hello, I'm happy to be back.
Yeah.
There's a little melody I just came up with. Here it is.
Sounds good.
this is sort of something that I came up with a couple weeks ago. My dog got hit by a car, and I came up with this little sort of, I sort of just wanted to do something with it.
That's pretty cool. Well, thank you. We'll have you back at the end of the song.
$1,300 later, and headache and heartache, it's fine. She's this big, and she got hit by a Dodge Charger at 40 miles an hour, and she's fine. Isn't that astounding?
That. Okay, well, we'd like to welcome our guest, Levi Lyon. How are you doing, Levi?
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here.
Hey, well, thanks for coming up. So you live in Seattle?
Tacoma.
In Tacoma, close enough.
I'm right in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've been organizing a series of talent searches.
For the Seattle Hemp Fest particularly. Been on the entertainment committee for 9 years now. This will be my 9th year on the entertainment committee. So we're working with a ton of bands every year. We've got room for 80 or so groups.
80 on, what is it, 5 stages at the Seattle Hemp Fest?
4 live music stages and 2 DJ stages this year.
I see.
3 days, always the third weekend in August. 15th, 16th, and 17th of August, I believe.
Nice.
How's it going with the permitting process this year? I know it's always, you might have heard of our struggles here.
Yeah,
We have some interesting news on that. Our city council has suggested we go back into the what I call the Blues Festival Bowl right off the Hawthorne Bridge on the 27th and 28th of September, which is 3 weeks later than we've normally done our event before. We're pushing for some other dates, but we'll see what comes to that.
Bring an umbrella for September, maybe.
Yeah, you never know.
But we do there in Seattle too, though. You know?
I've only seen a couple of them rained out over the years in Seattle in August.
We usually luck out. We usually get good weather.
Yeah. And so tell us about how you're organizing these talent search. You have one of the talent searches takes place here in Portland.
Yep, correct. Starting here February 4th. It's going to be every Tuesday at the Hawthorne Theater, and it runs through June. And we're looking for talent to come down, so you can bring a demo CD or email us through our website, lionpridemusic.com, or thehempfest.org, and submit your talent, your CD, your music, your MP3, your EPK through Sonic Bids, or just come down to the show. That's the best way to do it. We're looking to get personal with the bands this year and really get a chance to know who we're booking. So it's really important that you come down and we get a chance to shake your hands in person and find out the people that we're going to be booking for the festival.
All right, and so that's every Tuesday here in Portland at the Hollywood Theater.
The Hawthorne Theater every Tuesday. Every Wednesday at Jazz Bones in Tacoma, and every Thursday at 88 Keys in Seattle.
All right. So how long? It's going to start February?
It's started here already for Tacoma and Seattle. And starting February 4th at the Hawthorne Theater, we got the Long Beach Rehab's going to be playing.
So that's this coming Tuesday.
Good reggae rock. Yep, they're going to be playing a bunch of the Sublime tunes.
And what's the requirements? Do people have to pay to audition? Do they just show up?
Show up so we can book. We're gonna. Essentially, my job is to pre-screen all the talent. So I'm looking to build a business relationship with those artists and help them get in on the festival. So it's a tryouts festival. We're going to be streaming it all through our phone app as well, right? So you can, if you text LPM to 68398, it'll send you back an automatic link to subscribe to watching. If you can't make it down to the Hawthorne, you can watch it through the live video streaming this year.
Huh. So that means we're going to be rocking out all 3 days at the Seattle Hemp Fest this year?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, so more about the live streaming, really. The live streaming is such an awesome opportunity because we started that so that way we can get that speech, we can connect with your audience. Same thing for Seattle Hemp Fest and maybe even for Portland Hemp Stock this year to come out and live video stream so the world can watch and get the message of what we're trying to get out. So the live video streaming, not only can you connect and watch all the bands this year through the phone app, the Lion Pride TV phone app, but you'll be able to vote on your favorite bands there, and then as it gets closer to the festival season, be able to watch the festival through the live video streaming app also.
Well, I know Paul Stanford has an amazing team of people here in Portland who helps put together this particular broadcast. And if there's anywhere they can help make that happen, I'm sure they will, because they want to see the end of Prohibition and they love Viv and everybody there and all the hard work that you guys do. So
cool.
You can be certain that anything you need, I know I'm speaking out of turn, but I've learned here, right. I feel like I'm family, and anything they can do to help, I'm pretty sure, because they just love what you do. Cool. They really do. Even before I got involved, I kept hearing how wonderful Viv was, and the staff was, the team was, and how involved they were with making it happen. And So
Pretty amazing how many volunteers can make such a positive impact. So,
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we are taking phone calls tonight. It's the last day of January 2014. If you have a question or comment about ending marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, or helping medical marijuana patients, you can call us at 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. We'll be taking your calls right up to the top of the hour.
I got something right now. I'm so
Go right
excited.
ahead.
Did you see where Eric Holder said that we got to send the non-violent prisoners home, and that they had this big powwow today in Congress, and they want to get all the drug offenders that have no violence or no problem, get them home. And then tonight he said he's not even going to wait on Congress. All the people who've been in there for just crack, just for cocaine, right now, no violence, out of there. You're going home. So the POWs are being set free, and it looks like they realize the writing's on the wall. We got businesses springing up in states. We got medical marijuana, industrial hemp's going through Congress. I think the DEA finally realized that if they're going to have a job at all, it's going to be testing to make sure it's good for glaucoma, not for an arrest.
Well, you know, we had a story a few weeks ago about how they were afraid. The DEA was afraid of marijuana legalization in Colorado, and we know that fear is just for their own paychecks. They don't care about the rest of us. They don't care how many people and families are destroyed on this prohibition.
Well, excuse me for jumping in there like that. I was so excited. War is over because we won it. Yeah.
All right. Yep, there have been just tons of developments, and things keep changing all the time.
Well, and I think a lot has to do with educating the public like you have with this particular program, and as I have with Time for Hemp. Education is the key. It's kind of hard when finally someone says, this is a ball of twine made of hemp. You cannot walk away after that and go, oh, it's only good for getting high, brother. It's like, no, really? Did you see the ball of twine made of hemp? Don't be stupid anymore. So knowledge is the key, and truth always wins over lies, and love always wins over hate.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're not just working for marijuana legalization because there's some people who want to get high, though that's not a bad thing. There are a lot of lives that are destroyed in this, and our musical clip shortly will illustrate that, but our video clip, I should say. But we have a caller, so let's take that call. Welcome to the show, caller.
I'm Ron Howard.
Hello, Ron.
Hi. My question is, where do we go to sign the petition, and also explain what you guys are trying to do as far as getting it approved for Oregon?
Sure. We have two petitions that are in circulation right now. One is a very short constitutional amendment that says people can possess, use, and grow marijuana or its processed products like edibles or oils or tinctures. And that is the Oregon Cannabis Amendment, initiative number 21. And then we also have a revision of last year's Measure 80, the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, initiative number 22. As the Secretary of State numbers them consecutively as they qualify for a ballot title status. So we've right now got close to 30,000 signatures on the constitutional amendment and close to 20,000 signatures on the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act. We need about 116,000 signatures on the constitutional amendment by next July to qualify for a vote. And on initiative number 22, we need about 87,000 valid registered Oregon voter signatures. And the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act is very similar, almost identical to the bill that made the ballot here in Oregon, Measure 80, back in 2012. We got 47% of the vote then. A couple of the main concerns appeared during that campaign to be with the composition of the newly created Oregon Cannabis Commission to regulate the new industry. So we've reverted now so that all the members of that commission, like other commissions in the state, would be appointed by the governor of the state. And then we've also set a limit of 24 plants and 24 ounces in terms of the amount of marijuana that a person could possess and grow. But we should note that last year we got 47% of the vote in favor of unlimited amounts of marijuana that a person can grow, an unlimited number of plants that a person can grow, and putting 4 out of 7 of those members of this new Cannabis Commission to be elected by the new industry. So that was a contentious issue in the vote we had in November of 2012, so we changed that to make it a little easier to sell. All right, and I guess we have another phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Greetings, everyone.
Greetings.
Yes, the first question I have is tomorrow, Super Bowl Sunday, both the Seattle Seahawks and Denver Broncos, both their states allow marijuana is legal. So I was wondering if in the stadium, will they provide a special booth for people from both those states to smoke? And the second
well, it's
one
in New Jersey. It's in East Rutherford, New Jersey. So it's not legal in East Rutherford, New Jersey, unfortunately. But I guess that's just a message that if you legalize marijuana, maybe your team will go to the Super Bowl. You know, we don't have a football team here in Oregon, unfortunately, but maybe if we legalize it, the Trailblazers will go back and win the NBA championship again. We can hope for that.
And it's my understanding that on Sunday there will be a Super Bowl at Paul's house, about this big, packed with about a quarter pound all day long.
Yes. Oh, my next question
and you see, these two guys took advantage of it. This is Cheech and Chong, and they wonder, did somebody say Super Bowl?
Yeah, baby.
So you can see that they're getting in the act too.
Yeah, the next question is, now that it's legal in Colorado and Washington, do you still require to take a drug test, and having THC in your drug test, will that keep you from getting a job, even though now it's legal in both those states?
They didn't change the employment laws, so employers can still require that their employees test free from cannabis. However, that's up to the individual employer, and I think as things change, we'll see less and less of that. Of course, we don't want to see employees impaired on the job, but nothing in the laws in Washington, Colorado, or our laws would stop employers from conducting that sort of testing.
And Paul has a chain of clinics that he hires a lot of people through, and he does a lot of drug testing at his clinics, don't you?
It's called quality control.
That's right, quality control. But we're always testing it, smoke smooth. And
making certain it tastes good.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Things like
so
that.
Is there a possibility of maybe another ballot measure saying that, employers can't discriminate if you show up a positive for THC?
That would make sense, because if you show up positive for insulin, are they going to fire you because you're a diabetic? I mean, are you...
Insulin's created by your pancreas
well,
all the time.
my point,
and your body has natural endogenous cannabinoids. That's why they allow you to have certain levels of nanograms. I think it's up to 30 nanograms that you can have, because your body creates endogenous, they call it anandamide, which is chemically identical to THC.
And both my nana and my gram smoked out.
And you also can find that in colostrum, the component of mother's milk that babies get when they're breastfed. It gives them kind of the munchies. And so if the human body decides that this substance is so critical that we have to give it to babies to make them hungry, I don't see why it's illegal.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Guess we have one more call. Let's go ahead and take that call. Oh, they're gone.
Must have been the DEA. I guess they're doing a Google search on prohibition and failed policies.
Let them search on colostrum and breast milk. That'll be one. We have a film clip that, there's a new baby in our crew. Our soundboard
That's so
Tekka,
cute.
who's been working on our show for 10 years now. since she was a youngster, as a volunteer, has had a new baby. So welcome to the Cannabis Common Sense crew, Lily.
Is there a 90-day exchange? If after 90 days you don't like the kid, you can take it back and get...
No.
All right,
but,
you're stuck with it.
Okay, we're going to try that phone call again. Welcome to the show, caller.
Okay, yeah,
Howdy.
I've been calling you a couple of times before. I
Well, welcome back.
Cannabis for IBS and diverticulitis, and trying to get a idea of where I can get raw cannabis, not having any results. And so today I'm calling to find out where can I get some seeds so I can grow my own.
You know, there are a lot of places on the internet where you can order them, or you can go into these dispensaries. I'm sure some of them have seeds. I can't direct you exactly to a place to go get seeds. However, to be able to grow your own, there are a lot of places that provide them on the internet. They'll ship them to you from Canada or Europe, or you can go into these dispensaries and give that a try.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much.
Good luck. Yeah, it's very difficult to get raw cannabis for juicing because people want to grow the flowers, and the leaves are taken off of the plant to make that happen. So it's right now, where it's so expensive, you know, it's very, very difficult to find anything like that on a large basis unless you do it yourself. We have a film clip now that talks about the dangers of marijuana prohibition, and it's a little bit depressing. You might not want to watch this because it's has some graphic violence and what happens when the police come kick in your door. It's a Toronto singer and a music video he's created called No Knock Raid.
The amount of money for handling the problem of dangerous drugs sevenfold. It will be $600 million this year. More money will be needed in the future. I want to say, however, that despite our budget problems, to the extent money can help in meeting the problem of dangerous drugs, it will be available. This is one area where we cannot have budget cuts because we must wage what I have called total war against public enemy number one in the United States, the problem of dangerous drugs.
It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. We'll shoot your dogs in front of your kids, 'cause we are the SWAT. We're here for your pot and all the cash that you've got. We are adrenaline junkies taking orders from the top. KGB and the DEA, they'll make you disappear like in Guantanamo Bay. In the middle of the night, you'll have nothing to say. If we get the wrong address, it doesn't matter anyway. We'll still get our kicks, we'll still have our fun. Yeah, we are the SWAT, we are adrenaline junkies till the drugs are all gone. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. Paramilitary police state on parade. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. You do the time for your victimless crime. It's a no-knock raid. It's a no-knock raid. Don't be afraid. You shoot my dog? You shoot my fucking dog! Oh my God! This is a war, and this is your fate. We are the face of your new police state. We are the law, and we've got the guns. Statutory power, mandatory minimums. We are the SWAT, we're here for your part and all the cash that you've got. We are adrenaline junkies taking orders from the czar. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. Paramilitary police state on parade. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. You do the time for your victimless crime. And it's a no-knock raid. It's a no-knock raid. Don't be afraid. Paramilitary police state on parade. Flashbang on the ground. Don't hear a sound. Could be you, could be the mayor of your town. And it's a no-knock raid. It's a no-knock raid. Don't be afraid.
So this marijuana prohibition leads to these sorts of militarization of our police. We see these paramilitary squads come in and just kill people without any sort of recourse. And that's why the main thing that motivates us, to try to stop the loss of our civil liberties. And I've always said that marijuana prohibition is a bellwether issue for the future of freedom here in America, because if they can take the most productive plant that makes you laugh, that's not addictive physically, and say that one is illegal, for whatever reasons, I believe it's economic reasons, to stop hemp oil and hemp fiber production, but especially hemp oil for industry, then any of us can be locked up. And so been fighting to end this marijuana prohibition. We could certainly use your help. You can go to those websites there to print out these petitions, and you can go to hemp.org, just click on initiative number 21 or 22. You can read the text. You can print out single signature sheets. If you call us, we will send you some of these petitions so that you can gather signatures from your friends. And so we urge you to get involved in the campaign to end prohibition today. And so here are a couple of those petitions right now.
Week after week on Wednesdays, we have members from LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, onto our broadcast. And like you and I, they're all stunned as to how the tanks and the bullets are coming out for such nonsensical raids of this nature, and how many innocent lives are being taken in this war, when all we needed to do was just change policy. And
right.
We can't believe how we've armed the military-style police against our citizens, and it's our citizens who are their employers.
Levi, for our audience that doesn't know about the Seattle Hemp Fest, do you want to tell them how it started and the extent? It's the biggest pro-marijuana festival in the world today, isn't it?
It's the big one, yeah. It's the one you want to come to this year and just experience, right? It's our our first year, that's going to be legal, I guess. I guess it was legal last year, kind of. We had a lot of people that came
Hopefully
out last year.
there'll be some stores open by August.
But definitely the ball's rolling in that direction, and so this would be definitely the year to come show up as a tourist, I guess.
Right.
It's been going on a few years longer than I've been on board. I've been on board again for 9 years. This will be our 23rd annual, I believe. So, come out.
Did you all start out with 2 tables and a tent?
I think so. I think it did. Yeah,
it started out pretty well. I think it was in Gasworks Park the first year, and it really filled that.
Right.
And then it moved to the park on the waterfront there.
I believe maybe even Heritage Park. It was another park before the they moved down to Gasworks, and so 91 or 92 is when it started, right in there. And just a couple thousand people I heard that showed up there. I get a lot of musicians that showed up that first year. They come down and they're still trying to get in on performing on one of those stages. So
It was the Seattle Hemp Fest that changed my mind about hemp festivals. Till I saw that. Anytime Jack Hare would go to a hemp fest or I'd show up on it, would be like 17 little cardboard tables, little hemp twine, and 2 speakers, and we're there for 6 hours and gone. And this became a real event. This became an event where you got great speakers, great bands, and a huge turnout, and an educational source for people all around the world. So, really.
Hundreds of thousands this year. Yeah.
All right, if you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4442. That number just popped on your screen there. It's 503-288-4442. And I guess we have a caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello.
Hello,
Hardly
caller.
hear you.
Hello.
There you go.
I'm calling to. The problem everyone's had with this hemp is when they try to say that the states can make money taxing it. The opposite is true. You need to devalue marijuana and make it worthless. Everybody
I agree. It
has
should be cheap and plentiful. This stuff grows on trees.
Exactly.
I mean, the price it's going for in Colorado is $400 to $700 an ounce.
Ridiculous.
It really is. I mean, I have grown it in a small urban backyard where I put all the costs together, and it came out to be in a small urban garden with only 24 plants. I had the price down to about $12 an ounce in production costs. If I could grow that in a big field, I could cut that in half.
Exactly.
It should be cheap and plentiful.
There
And
would
then
be
that
no
lady who
people
needs to
selling
juice
it.
cannabis leaves for her health, then we'll find that it's available. As long as marijuana is almost the price of gold, it's very difficult to convince people to pull their leaves off, which might slow their flower production.
Exactly. It needs to be devalued so drug dealers can't make money, and that's what needs to happen.
Well, that's what our initiatives would do. In fact, they would make it much less expensive, and our initiatives are specifically written to allow hemp cultivation for fuel, fiber, and food. And so we urge you to support our initiatives to help make that a reality.
I will. But you see what I'm saying is everybody ties it into taxes for the government.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always the caveat, the government's going to make more money and tax it. And that's where the fallacy. The government's going to get involved, and they're going to hire people to control it, and it'll never work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Sure. Well, I appreciate your call and your insight.
From my point of view, it's like trying to control dandelions. Nonsensical.
It's difficult to wipe out. We have a studio audience member who has a comment here. Go right ahead, John.
Hi, Paul.
Hey.
I just wondered if you would address that, what is the initiative or Measure 37 that's on floating around out there, the one that says if you pour some alcohol over some cannabis, you can go to prison?
Yeah, there are some new penalties in the other initiative, and it's not in circulation at this time. They may get into circulation sometime in the spring. It remains to be seen. But our initiative is going full board. The legislature may put an initiative on the ballot. They call it a referral when the legislature puts it on there. So there's a draft that's out there that'll be heard by the Oregon legislature during their short legislative session next month. Our Governor Kitzhaber just came out and said he thinks the legislature should put that on the ballot and that the legislature should write the law. And so this other initiative is very long. I think it's about 68 pages, where our Oregon Cannabis Tax Act is about 4 pages. And then the Oregon Cannabis Amendment is only 2 sentences long. And the Oregon Cannabis Amendment simply says that people can possess, use, and grow cannabis and its derivatives or oils and extracts, and that the state can regulate it for public safety. So it simply says that. So it's a very short, simple initiative. And our Cannabis Tax Act, the regulatory part of it is really pretty small in comparison.
Is that short because you forgot what you wanted to write?
No.
You know, you smoking a joint, you was going to write something, and went, whoa, oh well.
No, it's very well designed. It went through 200 drafts over a long, long period of time.
And you got 2 sentences after all those drafts?
Well,
wow.
It's down to the essence there.
It's got to be a good 2 sentences.
We have a, yeah, well, it is. We have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller. Well, they said there was a caller there. Sometimes they disappear. You know, we have a little show, and well, actually, let's run this film clip we have ready. It's a film clip from back in the early 1940s. It's or actually it's 1941. And so this is a video of a car that was developed by Henry Ford. So let's go ahead and run that video.
Is that your graduating class?
Amongst the thousands of products made from hemp, one of the most extraordinary is Henry Ford's plastic car. Built in 1941, it contained cellulose fibers derived from hemp, sisal, and wheat straw. The plastic was lighter than steel, yet could withstand 10 times the impact without denting.
Okay, so that was an excerpt from Hemp, the $1 Billion Crop, a production from about 20 years ago from the Australian television network, Hemp, $1 Billion Crop. And it has that excerpt of...
Not a dent. Isn't that great?
Yeah, and it was that sledgehammer was just bouncing right off. You know, that was Henry Ford that was swinging that sledgehammer as well. We have this magazine here. We'll get Cowboy on camera too to close in on popular mechanics. Can you close in even tighter there, Cowboy? Come on, right on in.
Does that mean we can sue the car makers
open it
for
up,
not giving us a safe car?
Here is a picture of Henry Ford with that very car you saw driving. And it says the body is made from flax, wheat, hemp, and spruce pulp.
Ain't that a pretty
so
car?
It's an entirely biological car, and it could run on hemp seed oil fuel.
Ain't that a pretty car?
So there's Henry Ford and his son Edsel. And this is from the December 1941 Popular Mechanics magazine. We have a couple of other items here we'll show you, starting over here as the camera pans to the side. This is a Sharpened Dome cannabis tincture. Sharpened Dome is was a pharmaceutical company. Right next to it, we have a big pint bottle like that from Eli Lilly. And it's got a label on the back as well. Eli Lilly, it says that this is not poisonous according to tests, though it was previously so regarded. And it's an antispasmodic, an analgesic. It's for painful afflictions and for preventing rather than arresting migraines. And so it lists that it's also good for people who are getting off alcohol and opiates and chloroform. Right next to it, we find another Eli Lilly product. This is powdered extract of cannabis. That's sifted cannabis resin. This is a little jar of hashish, folks, from Eli Lilly.
Wow.
And so the big bottle here is from 1910, and this is from 1917. Right next to it is an 1880 tin. It's Seaberry's corn plaster. Seaberry was bought out by, or bought into by another fellow named Johnson, and it became Seaberry and Johnson, and then they morphed into Johnson & Johnson. And speaking of Johnson & Johnson, here's a Johnson & Johnson cannabis product. You can see it's a mixture of salicylic acid, which is aspirin, and cannabis. And it was a plaster that you would put on, it says right there, aspirin and cannabis indica plaster. And you'd put that right on your skin for all sorts of skin afflictions. And they have multiple languages on the label here. So this is another nifty product. Right next door to it, here is a hemp paper product. I imported hemp paper myself starting back in 1989. And this is a product that I developed back in the early 90s, and I sold it from 91 to 97 with my company, Tree Free Eco Paper. This is a remnant of that. I ran out of inventory, spent too much on offices and payroll, and went out of business with Tree Free Eco Paper back in 1997. But this is another company that has not gone out of business. You can pick this up at most stores nowadays. This is Dr. Bronner's Hemp Rose Castile Soap. And so you can get, Dr. Bronner's has a lot of hemp soap products. And you can pick them up at most stores, just about everywhere. And Dr. Bronner's kicked in $50,000 to the Initiative 502 in Washington and $50,000 to Amendment 64 in Colorado, and he kicked in $5,000 to our campaign here in Oregon, Measure 80. So, and then right next to it, we have what we call our Hemp Flame of Freedom, and this is the main reason that marijuana is illegal, because you can take hemp seed oil. This is a hemp wick, so this is 100% hemp in here. Hemp oil with a hemp wick, and you can burn it in your engines. You can pour this right into any diesel engine and turn the key and drive that diesel engine. That's the reason that marijuana is illegal. The hemp myth, the marijuana myth, was created by these affected industries that didn't want to compete with hemp oil. They wanted to monopolize it with petrochemicals, and they were successful in that.
And
so that's the end of our little, yep, there's a little can of a hemp energy drink that's out there as well. So that's our show and tell for this week. I hope you like that. We have a couple calls standing by. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, yeah, my name is Daniel Meyer.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty well. How are you?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm all for legalization of marijuana.
All right. So are we. But we appreciate
I've been around medical marijuana before it was medical.
Uh-huh. I think a lot of people did. You know, it was used for medicine going back at least 12,000 and maybe 12 or 20,000 years ago. In fact, the oldest
kid.
What was that?
I'm a Shriner's kid, and I use it for my back pain.
I see.
I'm a Shriner's kid. I had an anterior-posterior spinal fusion.
I see. I see. So you had that at a very early age.
At 16 years old.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Someone who works on our camera is saying he had the same thing in treatment for his muscular dystrophy.
If it wasn't for marijuana, I don't know what I'd do.
I understand.
If it wasn't for...
So I'm just
saying
we support
legalize
you.
it, and I appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your call, and good luck.
And I support you.
Thank you. Get us some of these petitions. We need your help on this petition drive. We need everybody to kick in and help get these petitions on the ballot. So thanks for calling. Let's see. I think we have a caller on the line and a caller in the studio. Let's take the caller on the line first. Welcome to the show, caller. Oh, wrong line. Okay, here in the studio. Welcome, Dion.
I just want to publicly commend our Earl Blumenauer and Susan Bonaducci for their public support of hemp in Oregon. And I just think it's great that we have their support and they're doing that as well.
Yeah. Just today, Earl Blumenauer was at the Portland City Club, gave a presentation about marijuana and why he's supported ending marijuana prohibition for over 40 years. He voted to decriminalize marijuana here in Oregon back in 1973 as a state representative, and he is still supporting it by leading the charge, along with Jared Paulus of Colorado, to end marijuana prohibition.
And according to Yahoo News, many of our political candidates are also starting to embrace ending prohibition. And those who are running for the highest office, get it, the highest office, the White House, they're also saying that prohibition is a little overrated and that perhaps we should revisit its policies and find a better way to approach the topic.
Well, after last week when President Obama came out and said that marijuana was no more dangerous than alcohol, and that he thought the laws passing in Washington and Colorado were important, that they go forward and be implemented. After that, the Republicans, not to be outdone, came out and said things that were very similar for the first time. We saw Rick Perry of Texas say that he's in favor of decriminalization in medical marijuana. Governor Chris Christie in New Jersey, who had slowed the implementation of the medical marijuana law, came out and gave it lip service now. So we're seeing even the folks who had previously opposed us are starting to switch, thank goodness. We have a whole series of phone calls lined up. Let's go ahead and take those calls. Welcome to the show, caller. Not that one. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello, how are you tonight?
Very well, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. I'm a cancer patient living in Kansas. And my big question is, how can the government hold a patent on medical cannabis oil and still claim it has no medical benefits?
Well, it's completely hypocritical. You know, on one hand, Health and Human Services patented cannabis and cannabis derivatives, and on the other hand, the DEA says it has no medical value. So Health and Human Services patented cannabis for cancer and to stop cancer and control pain, and on the other hand, the DEA says it has no medical value. But, you know, it's a jobs issue for the DEA. They want to enforce the laws and put us in prison, and they look at that as their economic livelihood. We need to put them back out there doing some good, honest work, and let them go arrest real criminals for a change.
And let's not forget the 4 people in this country that receive legal medical marijuana from the United States government every month. Irv Rosenfeld and Elvie Maseka and Carl Olson, and who's the other lady?
George McMahon is one of them.
Okay,
I don't
anyway.
think Carl Olson's on there.
George McMahon, Cindy somebody. Anyway, there's 4 patients in this country that get legal medical marijuana from our government delivered to their doors in little containers.
Yeah.
And yet our government stands up and goes, well, you know, even if I Google medical marijuana, there's no medical value.
Well, I've been through the hell of chemo and radiation and surgery. At this time, I've been tube feeding for the last 3 years. And it all could have been avoided by using hemp oil. And, you know, I think it's a terrible crime that I'm in this position. And the people here in Kansas, the legislators here in Kansas that are in the committee, have the nerve to say it isn't worth their time to look into.
Are you calling from here in the Portland area?
It makes me mad. Pardon?
Are you here in Oregon?
No, I'm here in Kansas.
In Kansas, so you can't get medical marijuana in Kansas, unfortunately.
No, you can't. They have some of the stiffest laws here that I've ever seen. I moved here in 2009 from Indiana and found out just after I moved here I had kids.
He lived in Indiana. Not that the laws are much better there. But you know what? Here in Oregon, you can get a medical marijuana permit even though you don't live in the state. Oregon's the only state here in the United States where you can get a medical marijuana permit without being a state resident. So if you want to come here and get a permit, we also have the cheapest marijuana in the country. So you can get it for $100 an ounce. I know as a cancer patient, you probably don't have the funds to travel around. But if that's an option, then
really
we're happy
don't.
to help you.
I would love to come up there, but with my bills and everything, and I can't afford to, and
I understand.
I can't even. I'm only 3 hours away from.
Well, hopefully
Colorado,
we
and
will
I
bring
can't
those
go
laws
there.
to you, and that you'll be able to access it soon.
Well,
Well,
I think
I'm
soon, too,
hopeful.
politicians are starting to realize that they're going to need medical marijuana. And for them to avoid this topic and to sidestep it, it's going to leave them in a situation where one day they're going to be in misery and not be able to get relief. They're going to be sick and not going to be able to get healthy. They're going to be dealing with cancer, and they're not going to be able to get the cure unless they act upon it now.
And going beyond the medical and the recreational use, it is such a beneficial plant. I don't understand why they, with the rising heating bills and everything else, you can use that oil to heat your house. You can use it to run your vehicle.
Yeah,
All
it's
the
all
things
about
that
money
you can
and power
make from it.
and the continued centralization of economic and political control. Drugs are just a smokescreen. It's not really about drugs or kids. It's really about oil and industry and money and power and keeping the dollars with a small group as possible so they can keep flowing to these capital-intensive corporations instead of to our farmers and our local communities. And that's what our initiatives here in Oregon are about, is empowering the farmers and putting money back in our communities.
What was Gateway's little pet name for them?
Our late great friend, the Kentucky lawyer Gatewood Galbraith, called them the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate, elite, fascist sons of a bitches.
Yeah, that's them.
So those are the people that brought us marijuana prohibition. And they're the ones who are going to lose out when we end prohibition, and especially when we start making energy products from hemp seed oil.
Well, we can sure use all the help you guys can send out to Kansas.
All right. Well, thank you for watching or listening out there. Are you watching us on Ustream or listening through the iHeartRadio?
On the computer.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Keep watching. We'll be back every Friday night at this time. Their Central Time, I think that is 10 p.m., 10 to 11 there in Kansas, I do believe. All right.
Well,
thank
good
you.
luck to you all out there.
All right. We have a studio audience member who has a question here. Go right ahead, sir.
Actually, it's for that guy. The
Okay.
quickest way to make change is to call your local congressman to get the lobbyists from the petrol and the pharmaceutical companies out of their pocket. Change will not happen unless the public calls the congresspeople. We need as much support as we can get.
Amen. We have to take control of the political system. So tune in and take over. That's the main message of and that's what we're trying to do with our initiative campaigns, is directly take part in the political process. Well, we're coming down to the end of the show. We got about 3.5 minutes left. Levi, let's give another plug for what you're working on.
Great. We're doing the Hemp Fest tryouts this year, so we're looking for talent to play the world's largest festival. And you can go to hempfest.org and submit as a performer through the form there. You can also just show up any Tuesday to the Hawthorne Theater here in Portland, any Wednesday at Jazz Bones in Tacoma, or any Thursday at 88 Keys in Seattle.
Are you going to each of those?
I'm there every week.
Every week. So you're going every week from Portland to Tacoma to Seattle. You're a traveling man.
Through June.
Through June. All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'll keep you busy.
A lot of McDonald's.
Yeah.
A lot of hip seed, we hope.
Yes, truly that.
Nice hope.
That's right.
So, Casper, you're pioneering a hemp radio network.
I am, and it's exciting. I can tell you, 20 hosts are giving you 30 hours each week of new content about ending prohibition. We are kicking ass and taking names. I can tell you, we got Judge James Gray on the network. We got Mary Lynn Mathery and Al Byrne from Patients at a Time. Terry Joyce from Winter Last Comic Standings on midnight through the week. We got all kinds of great music from TJ, the DJ, and I can certainly tell you
And
we're
you've got
growing.
shows in French and Spanish.
Oh, yeah,
and
that's another thing. We're going to be
Michael
doing
Kravitz out there.
3-hour show on Valentine's Day, all in French, starting at 3 a.m. that morning. Normally we do our French show.
That's about noon in Paris.
It is, all in French, right out of Paris. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays we do a show all in Spanish, which is for you people in Kentucky, El Spanish, hello. And then we've also going to be adding German and Japanese in the next couple of
All
months.
right. So
And
what's your website?
I think Steve D'Angelo is going to be joining our team as well. So that's exciting. We got him and Jody Amrion as guests this next Thursday on the Time for Hemp broadcast
All right.
show.
I get to co-host.
And you're the joint host of that particular broadcast. So go to timeforhemp.com. You'll find us there. Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes. We are a growing network of people who like to grow together. That's right.
I want to tell our viewers that if you want to get a medical marijuana permit anywhere in the United States, we have doctors who can help you. You can go to our website at hemp.org. That's HEMP.org. Or to get involved in our petition campaigns and support our petition efforts, you can do that as well. I want to thank you for watching. We're going to go out on another little tune by Malachi, who's standing by in the wings, ready to play. Thank you folks for watching. Tune in next week. We'll have Dr. Philip Levesque on as our guest next week. Tune in and help us restore hemp.
32 seconds of Etta Baker, Railroad Bill.